This is Talking Heads. My studio guest is Treasury Minister Alfred Cannan, and we're talking about the proposed buying by the government of the steam packet company. It's going to go to Tynwald next Tuesday, and he said earlier to me that he thinks it's probably going to go through, although who knows. Let's have a look at some more texts, because we've got a finite amount of time. People of the island must be given the first offer of being first offer, seeing as it's taxpayers that are bailing the steam packet out anyway, says Richard. That's probably unfair. I mean, you're not bailing anybody out, are you?
Absolutely not. This is not a bailout situation. As I said, Stu, if you give this current arrangement, the current shareholders, a new user agreement, the first thing that's going to happen is that the company is going to be sold. That company is cash generative, as I said, and there will be a deal out there for anybody who wants to come in and make an offer for it.
Somebody's picked up a point that I think I made earlier on. Your guest said that it's the Manx taxpayers were being blackmailed by the steam packet for more profits, just like Manx gas. If government can afford to buy the packet, they should buy Manx gas as well. Is this the start of government nationalising all sorts of monopolies?
Well, I think we have got a situation with Manx gas, but there is no intention for government to nationalise. There are options on the ground. It doesn't have to be gas. I mean, we can look at other options. So I think that's a different situation.
OK. A question that's not come up before. Will the ferry personnel be made redundant and compensated accordingly and then rehired with a new contract? Or are you effectively buying the steam packet and existing contracts remain in place?
We're buying the steam packet and its existing contracts.
Okie dokie. Can you turn Alf up a bit? I'm sorry, Colin, can you not hear him properly? I'll turn him up. Can Alf guarantee that the civil servants won't muscle in on the steam packet management to get the noses in the trough or impose government bureaucracy?
There is, as we've set out, a clear plan, Stu, that does not involve civil service bustling in on the steam packet.
But you did say in an interview with one of my colleagues, I think, that you wanted to get some of our directors on the board of the steam packet. So, that might be a little bit meddlesome, maybe.
Well, for the next 12 months, to a point within the next 12 months, we're effectively going to hold 100% of the business, and there will be restructuring necessary, and we want that restructuring done in the way that we are setting out, primarily on a Tynwald order paper. It's absolutely important that we have a proper say on that, and we're keeping the business at arm's length. Though it is proposed those directors will not be government civil servants or government employees, they will be outside individuals with experience and expertise to be able to do the job that we want them to do in their non-executive capacity. And yet have their allegiance, if you like, directly to the Treasury, the Isle of Man government, to ensure that we get the restructuring done successfully, get the shareholder agreement in place successfully. And from there, what we've said is that we will come to Tynwald should we wish to change any further appointments on the board as the shareholder.
So assuming this goes through on Tuesday, you buy the steam packet company, it's now in government ownership, it will need a new user agreement. So will you be doing a new user agreement from day one of the new ownership of it, and what will the terms of that be? Again, talking about government maybe meddling in things.
The user agreement's a critical document. If we're keeping the business at arm's length, as I said before, the two key documents that will provide the framework for the steam packet then to get on and operate commercially will be the user agreement, which will govern things like prices and the requirements of the steam packet to deliver certain services, and then the shareholder agreement, which will be between the shareholder, and we'll have signed between the shareholder and the board, which will govern the board's ability to make certain decisions. So, for example, Howard, I think it was talking about that 76 million suddenly being refinanced with hedge funds.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is to make sure that agreement ensures that the board cannot make decisions that would adversely impact the island economically without coming to the shareholder.
All right. And, I mean, just a question that begs asking, really. We're constantly being told that the Isle of Man government's got no money and that you're having to sort of raise money from all sorts of things, extra taxes, stealth taxes, this, that and the other. How can we have no money and yet we're talking about 25 million on the promenade? Is it 40 million quid for a deep water berth? We're building a place in Liverpool for millions of pounds, yet we can't afford Meals on Wheels or dentists. How do you balance things like that?
Well, how do you balance things like that? And it is all about our priorities, and there's a lot, as you know, as a Treasury Minister, that you're competing priorities. You've got to balance the economic development of the island, which comes with the things that you've just described, alongside the social needs of our island, which is the health service and education. And it is a question about balance, because you can't pay for one without the other generating the economic benefits from that in terms of employment and money coming into Treasury. So we get that right. But in terms of how we're going to pay for this, as you know, we have £1.6 billion worth of reserves. £750 million of that is absolutely ring-fenced in our National Insurance and Pension Fund. That's not being touched. I've got a cash reserve of around about £300 million. We're going to take £125 million of that out. We're going to pay for this, and then we're going to get it back in. We're going to get the £76 million back in, and I will come back with proposals as to how we get that £48 million back in.
We've got to draw a line under it there. Thank you very much for coming in. Let me just read this to you. Hi, Alf. This is a once-in-a-lifetime offer, and we should grab it with both hands. Go for it. Fully behind you. Good luck. That's from Robin Port St Mary.
Great. Thank you very much, Stu. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming in.